Hello and welcome to a new Google Sheets video in Practical Sheets. Actually, this is Google Sheets, Google Apps Script. Today we're going to create a web app that will let us search for data in a table. So we'll first render a table from our Google Sheets, bring it here, and if it updates, for example, let's say I add a new singer. They update. Then I have always my updated data from Sheets. But the nice thing is that I can search easily. Here I only have 6, but what happens if I have 100, 200, 300? So very easily I can search. For example, let's search for Bruce. And works, but not only for the first name. Let's say I search for Grohl, and it brings Grohl. And I also can search for band, Blur. And I also can search just partial search. For example, I don't remember well the name of the singer from Weezer, but I know that his last name starts with a C. So this is Rivers Cuomo, okay? Or maybe even without the uppercase. Here, Jack Black. Let's say Jack, or just J-A, and brings Jack Black. Okay, so it's a very nice search function, very easy to do. It's a lot of work, but I'll try to go fast without getting too much detail. I already did an intro to web apps that doing a project list up that can help you. This is a bit more advanced. So again, there are many ways of doing this. This is an easy way to start learning because this is not an easy subject. Okay, so I hope you like it. But before we begin, please consider subscribing to the channel, or just giving a like, or just commenting. And if you want to go beyond, then you can go to my Patreon page, not only to support me, but you can also download this template and the templates of all the videos in the channel, and we can talk. If you have a specific question or a detail on this on any of the videos, you can ask me there and I'll answer a bit faster than in the YouTube comments. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's begin. So I have a table in Google Sheets, and we're going to create from scratch a web app. I would try to go step by step, but not focus too much on details, so this doesn't go too long and this doesn't need a lot of parts. Let's go to Apps Script. And if you want an intro on web apps, maybe the project video is the best for you. I'm going to try to go much faster in this one. So the first thing we need in my web app to build a web app is a doGet function, or a doGet trigger function. Okay, some zoom would be nice. The doGet needs an HTML to print, to say it in any word, to show, to visualize an HTML. This is it. We, from our Google Apps Script, we say, hey, publish this HTML, and this will be the UI or the user interface from my web app. That's it. So we can do this in several ways. Let's do this in a constant that we're going to call HTML. HTML will be from my HTML service. We're going to we could create a template, or we could create an output. Any of those will work well. Okay. The difference is that when I create a template from file, and the file, we can give it here, let's say it's going to be called contacts. The difference is that when I do a template, I mandatory have to evaluate it. So I could give variables, but on this particular app, I'm not going to send variables because I'm going to do a bit different than what we did in the last app. So we need to return this, and this is my web app, basically. The thing is, I need this contacts HTML, because if not, it's not going to work. So let's create an HTML. We have to name it exactly the same, contacts, and we create here an HTML. For now, let's put anything, hello world, and I shouldn't need anything else. Let's just save. In order to be able to see our app, we're going to deploy, new deployment. You can give it any name you want. First, we need to select what is it. It's a web app, and contacts version 1.0. For now, I'm going to execute it as me, maybe always. And who has access? We could say that anyone with a Google account. I think in most cases will be the case. Let's deploy it. For now, we are not accessing any Google Sheets or Google Forms or anything, so it's not going to ask us for permission, but be careful because in the future it may not work when you start connecting with Google Sheets and all that, so you need to give the permission. We're going to see this in action. For now, let's go to our URL. Let's click here, and here it's my hello world. Given that we're going to do a lot of testing here, I'm not going to use this published URL. Why? Because it will only change once I publish it, so I need to deploy it every time. So we're going to do a lot of testing. So for this to work, I'm going to do a test deployment. And here, this is the URL I'm going to work with. We can close the other one for now. So every time I do any change, for example, here, hello world 1, and save, and I only refresh the web app, here it is. So now we can start. The first thing we're going to do is to bring, normally do this at the end, but in order to look nicer, we can bring from the beginning a Bootstrap template. It's very easy. You just go to the Bootstrap page. It could be any other HTML template or library. There are a lot, but Bootstrap is well known. A lot of people use it, so it's good. Here, I'm going to copy this quick start. Actually, this is the one, the second one, where I include already the CSS and the JavaScript. I can copy it here. I'm going to paste it here. I also have a hello world, but it will look much nicer. Let's save and let's update. So we have the basis. Now let's go to our table. So here, instead of hello world, I can say my contacts. I'm going to do a bit of zoom out. And here is where I'm going to put everything. Maybe I can close this in a div and the class will be container. This only works in Bootstrap. And let's close our div. This will be like my main container, let's say. And you can see that here it's going to do just a little bit of padding, that it looks nicer, okay? And inside of here, I can maybe put another container. There are many ways of doing this. Someone that knows Bootstrap better than me may know better ways, but for now, this may work. And here in this container, this is where we're going to put our table, because what I need to do is to grab this table and convert it into a HTML table. We did this in the projects app that we did, but we did it using a thing called scriptlets that may not be the best practice. So here we're going to do it a bit different. So I'm going to put here a table. There's a class in HTML called table, a tag, sorry. And here I'm going to include my table. I'm going to divide it into in the header and the body. I'm not going to program anything about the header. We're going to do it really fast, and the header, it's going to be static and the body will be dynamic. If you want, we can go here to the Bootstrap and look for table here at the left, and you can go for this example. It's easier to copy and paste. So here I'm going to paste this, a bit of zoom out. I have a lot of things, so I'm going to select all of these and do triple tab, and then here double tab, so it just looks a bit more organized. Okay, so for row, I'm just going to need one row for now. I'm going to delete all of this just to see how it's structured. And for header, I'm going to do it manually. I'm going to put these 3 fields: first name, last name, and band. Okay, so very quickly, the table is divided into the head and the body. Even though in the head there's going to be only one row, we still need to wrap it up in a row tag. And for the data itself, we're going to have a lot of rows. Actually, I need to delete this one. Okay, and the number of rows I need, but this I'm going to create it in my JavaScript. So in the header, let's put our 3 things: first name, last name, and band. So I can delete this. I already have the first here, name, last name, and band. This we could also do it programmatically in the JavaScript, but I don't want to create such a complex program. I just want to leave you the basis, and then you can put it as complex as you want. Okay, so the thing we're going to create is this one. For this, we need to create our script. So here we can do our script maybe below this other script. And let's close it right now. Here is where we're going to create the JavaScript that is going to be the connection between HTML and Google Apps Script. So how does this work? I'm going to bring my data with a function in Google Apps Script. It's a very simple function we've used a lot in our script. So we can call this return table. And the return table, first I need to connect with my spreadsheet app. Then I'm going to connect with this particular book. I can do this with get active spreadsheet. And we can call this worksheet if you want. This is the common notation I've seen. After we're in our book or in our file, we can then connect to our particular spreadsheet. So this could be SS. Here it is called sheet, but we could rename it as contacts. So this will be ws.getSheet by name. And the name is contacts. And now we just need to get the table, the full table. This is very easy. It's just ss.getDataRange. Here we don't need to data range. Okay, we don't need to put anything else. Maybe we can remove the header because we have already put it in the other manually, if you remember. So for this, well, first let's finish this up. Get values. If you have dates, if you have any other weird behaviors, you can change this with get display values. Okay. Not, let's just put this as data if you want. And finally, we're going to remove the first row, the header row. This we do it with shift. And we're going to return. Actually, we could return it here. And this is the table we're going to work with. So now, this is the first step. The second step is I need to build with this data. I'm going to get it here and show the table. I need to do a function that brings the data and converts it to an HTML table. So how do I do it? First, I need to call this function that we just created. This is the basic, this is the basis, this is the core of the web apps, connecting Google Apps Script with JavaScript and with the HTML. So there, I need to find a way to call this return table from my JavaScript. And how do I do this? With google.script.run. Okay, and here I'm going to put the function return table. Here there's no argument here, so I don't need to put any argument. It's just going to return the table. The thing is, it's going to return the table, but now what do I do with this data that is returning right here with this? So now I need to do a function that does something with the data. How do I do it? With a special method that is called with success handler. Okay, so this takes whatever was returned here and does something, normally a callback function. So I could name the function here and do it elsewhere, or I could do an implicit function. This means that the function will be here. I could put what do I want to do with my data. So I need to say here that I'm going to receive some data and I'm going to do something with the data. So what I need to do with the data is to go here to this tr, or this t-body better, and create all my rows. That's it. So there are many ways of doing this. I'm going to show you one. I can delete this. Remember just this scope row for now. Actually, I don't need this header. I don't know why this row has a header. I could delete all of this. And here I'm going to grab this body. Given that there's only one body, I could use a get query selector, but a nicer way, maybe not nicer, this is a more used way, is to put an ID to the table. Let's call this table body. And here I'm going to call this table body. How do I do it? With document get element by ID. Here I do a recommendation. If you can download, or if you have download a code editor like Visual Studio Code or something like that, because Google Apps Script is really nice when you're writing script for Google, but when you're writing JavaScript, it's terrible. It doesn't recognize anything. It doesn't suggest anything, so you're blind. So you will have a lot of errors in the writing, in the grammar, in the capitalizations of the functions and all that. So I really, really recommend that you write your JavaScript in a Visual Studio Code like program. There are a lot in the market. I use Visual Studio Code. It's really nice. But for now, this is easy. So let's do it here. Document.getElementById. You see, I'm not getting any suggestions from Google whatsoever. GetElementById, the ID I need is this table body. Let's copy it. You can put it with the quotation marks. And I'm going to save it in a variable. In a variable could be table or table body if you want. But actually this should be inside my callback function, okay? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this data, and for every row, I'm going to create a row in this table body. That's it. So data dot for each, because for each row, I want to create a new row. Here is an arrow type function. So for each row, let's do something with this row. So the first thing I'm going to do is to create a row in the HTML. I can call this table row, and it will be document.createElement. And the element is a tr tag, like this one. Okay, I need to create, the first thing I need to create is the row. So I'm creating it, and then I'm going to append it to this table body that I'm getting here. But at the end, once I append the columns, so look at like a Lego. I'm creating my row, then I put the columns, and finally I put this row to my big structure that is this table body. So I could do another for each for the columns if I have a lot of columns, but for now we're doing only 3, so let's do it one for each. So I'm going to create, let's say, one for each column: first name, last name, band. So first name data. This will be document.createElement. Now I'm going to create another element, but now I'm not going to create a row, but a data element or node. This is what each column, what goes inside each row. Okay, so I'm going to create one for the first name, one for the last name, and one for the band. Last name, and this is band data. I'm going to create 3 TDs. For each one, I'm going to assign it the value of the row. So this will be row in the position 0 for the first name, in the position 1 for the last name, in the position 2 for the band. So first name data, the content, there are a lot of properties we can have here, inner HTML, the classes, whatever. For now, I just need the content, and the content will be, because this is just a very simple tag from the HTML, so I don't need to include further HTML. So here, I'm going to put the row in the position 0. And let's do the same for last name and for band data. But in last name, the row is in the position 1, and in band data is in the position 2. Finally, I want to append each of these to this row I created. So table row dot append. Again, this is when it's very useful to have a Visual Studio Code. Append child, so you don't have to learn this by heart. And we're going to include this fname data. We're going to do the same for last name data, and we're going to do band data. If you know anything about programming, or are in intermediate or advanced programming, you may be putting your hands in your head right now and say, why doesn't he do it with another 4? It's better to do it with another 4, but I think it's more helpful if you're learning to see it this way. Here, if you have 20, imagine if you need to do 20 columns. It's easier to do it with another for each. It may be done, but I want you to learn the concept and then apply it and make it more complex by yourself. Okay, so now I have my row, but my row is in the ether, is floating in the air. I need to assign this row to the body. So at the end, when I finish with my row, so after I finish putting the 3 Ds inside my row, now I need to put the row inside my body. So it's the same, append child, and I will put the table row. And that's it. This should work. Let's see. Let's save. And let's update. So this is what I told you at the beginning. Given that we published or deployed the app when I didn't have any Google Apps Script, so now I have a problem. It's not really a problem. I just need to run my doGet or my return table, better yet, and it will ask for the permissions now. Let's review them. Let's go to our account. Let's hit advanced, go to untitled project. I should have given it a name, allow, and now it should work. Let's update, and something it's not working. Okay. Yeah, here it's not content, but text content. This is why I didn't follow my own advice and I didn't do it with Visual Studio Code. We would have saved that error. Upload. Let's refresh. And I think we are onto something, but something didn't work. Second mistake. This is why it's nice to test every time you do almost any line. So here I don't need to return data shift, because when I return data shift, it only returns the header, the thing I shifted. Okay, so I'm going to do data shift and then I return the data. Let's save, and one last time. This should work. Let's cross our fingers. And now finally. So I'm going to create a search field here on top of my contacts. So here I could do another container. Maybe I don't even need a container. I just need to do an input. And we can go to a Bootstrap, to the forms, and in the overview, a very simple input. So for now, I'm going to copy this one. It's not the best one, but let's copy this one. And I'm going to put it here. I already have my div. Maybe I'm going to remove this for now. I don't want to get a lot into Bootstrap formatting. There may be courses for that or videos for that on YouTube. So here I'm going to call this the input. The input is just a placeholder to write something. The important thing here is the ID. I'm going to call this ID search box. And here in the for, I could also put search box. And finally here, I'm going to write search. Let's see what happens. Let's save. Maybe I should put here also container. Let's see if this works. Okay, it doesn't look perfect, but it's not bad. And I'm going to remove all of this. I don't want this to be email. This can be text, and I don't need a placeholder. Let's save again. Okay, perfect. So I want to write here something and then to search. So it's important to know that anything that is written, I can access it through the search box. There are two ways of doing this. One, I could use a thing in JavaScript that is called document.getEventListener. The other one is I could put my function directly here. In the input, I could use one of many events or triggers. Here on change should work. Okay? And here I'm going to put the function I'm going to use. And the function may be called search. And that's it. So here I'm going to create a function that is called search function, search. And for this to work, I need to call again this Google script run. The good thing about Google is that once I've written it one time at least, now it helps me. Google script.run dot what is the function. So it's going to be exactly the same function. This is not the most efficient code, let me tell you, but it should work. So actually I'm going to copy all of this and paste it here, but I'm going to delete all of the callback function because I'm going to change it. Okay, so it's the same. It's a Google function that will call the return table because it's the same table. And with the data, I'm going to do something. And what I'm going to do now? I'm not going to put the whole table, but I'm going to filter it. And this, I do it precisely with the filter function. So first, I need the value of my box. And the value, I can access it through my ID search box. So very similar to this. So I can copy this. Let not table body, but search text or search value. Get the element by ID. This is search box. And now what I want to do is take my data and look for the search box. How do I do this? I will say data dot filter, and I'm going to look row by row for something that is in the search box. How do I do this? I go row, very similar to what we've done in the past, but now I don't want to do a for each, but the filter. So just return whatever is in the filter. So this is row, return if the row in the position 0, this is the first name. So for now, we're just going to look in the first name. It equals to whatever is in the search box. So this search text. Okay, this will return. Let's call this filter data. Filter data. And now I need to do this exact same thing, but for the filter data. Again, this is not a very efficient code. I could do this with functions under functions, but I hope this is understandable. And we could do maybe a part 2 or in the Patreon or something to optimize it. Okay, so filter data. Now I'm not going to show the data, but the filter data. Actually, I need to do this also to paste the table body, because here I don't know what am I appending it to. You know, I didn't have the table body. So let's save again. Here I need the value. Okay, so this is search get element by ID, but actually I need to search for the search text dot value. One more time. And here I have it. The thing is, I'm putting it down here, you know, so I need to delete my content before putting the new content. Before I do this table body append child, I need to remove all my table body. Okay, so I could do this by doing table body dot inner HTML, and we could put this empty. Let's save one more time. Dave. So now it worked. Reverse. Now it's working. Perfect. So now I want it to be able to work first name or maybe last name or maybe even band. So how can I do this? Or maybe if you're not going to put it all the time exactly, maybe I put this river and I'm not going to get anything. So instead of doing equals, we could do a number of functions for strings. One of them is index of, the other one is matches. So we could put this inside the matches. I think it's match. Okay, save. So let's try here with rivers. Perfect, it works. And if I say river, it still works. If I say, for example, Bruce, BR, Bruce, both Bruce. But maybe I wanted to write Bruce, and it should work also. But here is not working. So I'm going to put this inside also a lower or uppercase. The important thing is that both are in the same. So the value, I could put it in an upper case to upper, if I'm not mistaken, to upper. And here, my row, I'm also going to put it to upper, to upper. The important thing is that both are uppercase or both are lowercase. Here it is to uppercase. Case. And here also to upper case. Let's save. Let's try it. Dave. Perfect. What about Bruce without the B in capital? Perfect. How about brew? Excellent. Rivers. Riv. Excellent. Now I need it to work in first name, last name, and band. Okay. So how do I do this? There are, again, many ways. I'm going to go with the most primitive, the most simple one. And I'm going to say not only this condition, but I'm going to put another two conditions or conditions, so that any of those conditions work, then it will return something. So it's going to be exactly the same. Maybe I could do here enter so that it's a bit more readable. But here it won't be row in the position 0, but in the position 1. Okay, and I'm going to copy all of these again, Control-C, and then paste it here. So row on the position 2. So if it finds it, first look for it in the 0, then look for it in the 1, then look for it in row 2. That's it. Let's save. Refresh. Again, Dave. Perfect. How about Cuomo? Perfect. How about Tenacious D? Excellent. Okay, so this is it. Again, maybe not the most polished code, but it works. I've seen some codes online that are really nice. You could put first the last name, then the first name, but it's really complicated. Maybe we can do it later. But for now, I hope this works for you. You can do a lot of things. Then this JavaScript, you can put it in another file, but this was not the objective. The objective was to do as simple and as fast as I could a web app that lets you search for a table. Okay? One thing we could do is that if I erase and don't put anything in my search, then I see all the table. Okay? I hope you liked it. And if you like it, then, and if you don't want to do anything I did for the last hour, you can just go to my Patreon page, download the template and work it on your own and do the adjustments on your own. Or you can just subscribe to the channel and maybe you'll see some videos similar to this in the future. Thank you so much and see you next time.